We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph in Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 32a. This is the beginning of the fourth parak of Mesechet Sanhedrin. The Mishnah says, Echad dinei mamanis v'echad dinei nefashos, whether we're dealing with cases involving money or whether we're dealing with capital cases, b'drisha uv'chakira, there's going to be examination of the witnesses. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, mishpat echad yelachem, it's the same law for both of them by dinei nefashos. We know that there's drisha v'chakira. It says in the pasuk, v'darashta v'chakarta, and mishpat echad yelachem says that that same thing is true by monetary cases. And the Mishnah continues, Ma bein dinei mamanis l'dinei nefashos. What's the difference between monetary cases and capital cases? Dinei mamanis b'shlosha, monetary cases are judged with 3 judges, v'dinei nefashos be'esrim u'shlosha, and capital cases are judged with 23 judges. Dinei mamanis poschen bein lezuchus bein lechova. When it comes to monetary cases, we can begin deliberations, whether we're talking that towards innocence or whether towards guilt. V'dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, poschen lezuchus, we begin deliberations only towards innocence. V'ein poschen lechova, we do not begin the deliberations discussing the fact that the person might be liable, might be guilty. Dinei mamanis matan al pi echad, when it comes to monetary cases, we can decide the case with a majority of just one judge, bein lezuchus, bein lechova, whether that's for innocence or for guilt. V'dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, matan al pi echad lezuchus, if you have a majority by just one judge, that's enough for innocence. The al pi shnayim lechova, but in order to say the person is guilty, you have to have a majority with at least 2 judges on the side of guilt in order to say guilty. And the Mishnah continues, dinei mamanis, when it comes to monetary cases, machzirin, so we can overturn the verdict, we can bring the case back to the court, bein lezuchus, bein lechova, whether that's for the purpose of innocence or guilt. Dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, machzirin lezuchus, so then we return the case to the court if it comes to returning for the purpose of making the person innocent. V'ein machzirin lechova, but we're not going to bring the case back to the court in order to bring it, in order to say that the person should instead be guilty. And the Mishnah continues, dinei mamanis, when it comes to monetary cases, hakol melamdin zuchus v'chova, everybody is able to give reasons for innocence and everyone is able to give reasons for guilt. Rashi explains, hakol melamdin va'afilu talmidim hayoshvin lifnei hadayon, and even let's say you have students who are sitting in front of the judges, v'lo nismanu bezin al kach, they're not really appointed for this bezin, but even they are allowed to offer reasons. And the Mishnah continues, dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, hakol melamdin zuchus, everybody is able to give reasons for innocence, v'ein hakol melamdin chova, but not everybody is allowed to give reasons for guilt. And the Mishnah continues, dinei mamanis, when it comes to monetary cases, hamelamed chova melamed zuchus, if somebody gave reasons why the person's guilty, he can then go ahead and give reasons for innocence. V'hamelamed zuchus melamed chova, and the other way as well, if he gave reasons initially for zuchus, for merit, he can then give reasons for chova, for guilt. But dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, hamelamed chova melamed zuchus, if somebody initially gives reasons for guilt, he can then come and give reasons for innocence. Aval hamelamed zuchus, but if somebody initially gives reasons for innocence, ein yochol lachzor lelamed chova, he can't come back and teach reasons for guilt. And the Mishnah continues, dinei mamanis, when it comes to monetary cases, donin bayom, we judge those cases during the day, v'gomrin b'layla, and we can conclude the case at night. Dinei nefashos, when it comes to capital cases, donin bayom v'gomrin bayom, we judge it during the day and we complete the case during the day. Dinei mamanis gomrin bo bayom bein lezuchus bein lechova, when it comes to monetary cases, we can finish the case on the very same day, whether for innocence, whether for guilt. Dinei nefashos, but when it comes to capital cases, gomrin bo bayom lezuchus, we can conclude the case that very same day if it's for innocence. Uviyom shalachrav lechova, but we have to wait for the next day if it's going to be lechova, if it will be for guilt. And the Mishnah continues, lefikach, therefore, ein donin lo be'erev Shabbos v'lo be'erev Yom Tov. You can't have cases on erev Shabbos or erev Yom Tov because it will be impossible to conclude the case on the next day on Shabbos or Yom Tov. And the Mishnah continues, dinei mamanis, if we have monetary cases or hatmeus v'hataros, or let's say we have cases involving tumah and tahara, impurity, maschilin min hagadol, so then we begin from the greatest of the judges who offers his opinion. But dinei nefashos, when it comes to capital cases, maschilin min hatzad, we begin from the side, meaning from the lowest of the judges, he offers his opinion first. Hakol ksherin lodon dinei mamanis, everybody is able to judge monetary cases. The Mishnah means to say everybody, even let's say someone like a mamzer. Ve'ein hakol ksherin lodon dinei nefashos, but not everyone is kosher to judge capital cases. Ela kohanim, leviim, v'yisraelim, hamesiin lakuna. The only people that can judge capital cases are kohanim, leviim, and yisraelim, who are able to marry into the kahuna. And the Gemara says, Dine mamanis mi bo'inan drisha v'chakira, do we really need examination when it comes to monetary cases? U'reminu, we have a contradiction from the following brisa. This is from the Tosefta. Shtar shezmano kosav be'echad b'nisan b'shmita. If you have a document and the date that's written in the document is the 1st of Nisan of the Shemitah year, uvo edim v'yomra, witnesses come and they say, hey chatem me'idin al shtar zeh, how can you have been testifying about this document? V'halo b'yom ploni imanu ha'yisam b'makom ploni, but on that day you were with us in this particular place, shtar kosher ve'edav kasher, and we say that the document is kosher and the witnesses are kosher. Chayshin on shema ichru v'kasvu, because we're concerned that maybe it was a post-dated shtar, meaning to say the date is not accurate. And so the Gemara now asks, v'salka daitach ba'inan drisha v'chakir. Now, if it should enter your mind that when it comes to monetary cases we need examination of the witnesses, which includes the date and the place, so hechi chayshin on shema ichru v'kasvu, how can there be concern that they post-dated the shtar? They wouldn't be allowed to post-date a shtar if you need drisha v'chakira. And the Gemara continues, but according to your reasoning, what do you have to ask from a brisa for? Tikshei lach masnisa, we can ask the same question from a Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, shtarei chov hamukdamin pesulim. If you have shtarei chov, if you have documents that are predated, documents of debt that are predated, those are disqualified. V'hamucharim kasherim, but if it's post-dated, if the date is later than the actual loan took place, that date that we wrote in the document is a later date, that is kosher. So again, you have a situation of a kosher document where the date is not accurate, and ask the same question. If it should enter your mind that by monetary cases we need drisha v'chakira, muchar, now my ksher, why would a post-dated shtar, why would that be kosher? And the Gemara says, halo kasha, that's not difficult, meaning the reason why we're asking from the brisa and not from the Mishnah, that's not a difficult question. Because we're asking the stronger of the questions. Because even on the 1st of Nisan of that Shemitah year, that it's less frequent that people lend money at that time, because in a Shemitah year, at the end of the Shemitah year, we say that all loans are canceled. It's hard to find someone to lend money at that time. And it's less likely to say that a person will post-date such a document, because that actually makes the document worse. Now it's dated in a Shemitah year. There's very little time in such a situation to collect, because again, the Shemitah year is going to cancel the loan. So afilu hachi, but nevertheless, kevan de shvi is sofa mishameta, since the Shemitah year, it's only at the end of the Shemitah year that the loans are canceled. Machshirinan, so we still say that it's kosher, and so that's why we're asking specifically from this particular case. And the Gemara says, Mikol Makom Kasha, but nevertheless, we still have a difficulty. If you need Drisha v'Chakiro, why is this kosher if it might be post-dated? And so the Gemara continues at the 2 dots, Siman Charfash, this is a siman, it's a mnemonic for the answers to the question above. Again, the question being that we see from the Mishnah, and we see even more so from the Brisa, that we assume that documents might be post-dated. What about Drisha v'Chakira? And the Gemara gives the first answer. Amar Reb Chanina says, Dvar Torah in a Doraisa level, Echadine Mamanis v'Echadine Nefashos, whether you're talking about monetary cases, whether you're talking about capital cases, b'drisha uvechakira, there's examination of the witnesses. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, mishpat echad yelachem, it says it's all one law, meaning the law by dinei nefashos is the same as by dinei mamanis. Just like by dinei nefashos we say there's examination of the witnesses, so too by dinei mamanis. Umatam amru dinei mamanis lo ba'inan drisha vechakira. But what's the reason why by monetary cases we do not require examination? Kadesh lo tinol delas bifnei lavin. We don't want the door to be closed in front of borrowers. Lenders will hesitate to lend money if they know there's drisha v'chakira on their witnesses, because it will be harder for them to collect, and therefore to encourage lenders to lend money, we do not require drisha v'chakira by dinei mamanis. And the Gemara continues, Ela me'atu, but according to that, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Beis Amud Beis.